This video is sponsored by Squarespace. This week, Starship's factory begins rising from the Florida swamp, and we're seeing some serious groundwork for Starship's launch tower and pad at 39A, which will be used to launch SpaceX's mega moon rocket. Hey everyone, I'm Ian Atkinson with NASA Spaceflight, and welcome to this week's flyover of all things going on at Cape Canaveral, including an update on the Blue Origin facilities and future plans at the world's most famous spaceport. First, let's dig into what's happening over at Roberts Road. On the east side, Hangar X is seeing more work at the future delivery area. A new fence is now splitting the area into two parts, one of which is believed to be for fairing half delivery and refurbishment, as well as the rollout of those fairing halves once refurbishment is complete. As for the other side of the delivery area, this is most likely going to be used as a general delivery ramp, as these delivery spots are already being used, with a SpaceX van parked at them. Next to the east facade of the hangar, a few trucks are lined up with what appears to be more material for the interior of the hangar extension. Additionally, the road to the north is getting paved in preparation to support the massive increase in activity at Roberts Road, not only for Falcon 9, but also for Starship. And speaking of Starship, to the west of Hangar X, we are also seeing more parts for future tower segments of the Cape Canaveral version of Mechazilla. 4 of these large tower segments have already been built, with the 3rd and 4th segments getting parts for the central elevator truss, just like we saw last week for the 1st and 2nd segments. The feet for the stand of the 5th segment are already installed on the concrete squares, with a tower column sitting next to them, indicating that buildup of that segment is imminent. On the other set of concrete squares, we see preparations for the feet of the stand for the 6th tower segment. In fact, these 4 feet over here are most likely the next ones to be used, and probably the ones that will go on to the 6th segment. Even further to the west, we see that construction of Starship's factory at the Kennedy Space Center is starting, with cutouts for the concrete spread footings clearly visible now. This is the place where SpaceX will eventually build Starship and Super Heavy parts, ranging from domes, barrels, nose cones, and much more. To the southeast of this factory, clearing continues in the area where the twin high bays for Starship and Super Heavy assembly at the Cape is expected. Based on plans published for the area, it is likely that these structures will resemble the 2nd high bay at Boca Chica, also known as the Wide Bay. Right between this area and the factory, a new access road is being added, which will be fundamental to delivering and moving Starship and Super Heavy parts and, perhaps, even roll out fully built ships and boosters. Finally, the retention pond to the west of the complex is now being filled with water. Let's move on from Roberts Road and look at the launch infrastructure at Cape Canaveral, including SpaceX activity at Pad 39A. But before that, over to my buddy Jack.
Thanks, Ian. Also, thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I may be good with a camera, but I am not a web designer. Squarespace makes it easy for even a lummox like me to make a website that looks professional. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for building your online presence or business, with tons of easy-to-use features and super slick designs. With Squarespace, you don't have to spend a bunch of money and hire a web designer to have a website that looks like you did. Squarespace has powerful blogging tools to help you share stories, photos, videos, and more. You can even categorize and schedule your posts to make the most out of your content. I set up my website as an online portfolio, as well as a place to sell prints of my photos. Squarespace makes it remarkably easy to set up an online store or collect donations towards your cause. So easy, in fact, that I had no problems doing so. And of course, they have excellent analytics to help you figure out what's working and what isn't. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/NASASpaceflight to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Back to you, Ian, my good duder.
Thanks, Jack. Over at 39A, progress continues on the concrete base for the Starship launch and catch tower, with the first stage of concrete filling apparently complete. We also saw work on the 2 back walls of the tower, which will eventually hold the drawwork system for the tower arms, just like at Starbase. It appears that the panels that hold the concrete during cure have been removed, a sign that points to the first stage of concrete filling being complete, as crews now get ready for the 2nd stage of the operation, that will further raise the height of the tower base. right next to the Starship launch and catch tower, will be the orbital launch mount, used for operational launches from Florida. In our last flyover, the area around this work site seemed to have a lot of moved ground, and a gaping hole where the orbital launch mount will be. In this week's flyover, it seems that the foundations for the mount's 6 legs are being built up to ground level. A bit further to the south, a new white tent has gone up, while the frame for a second tent can be seen next to it. To the north, at the former Apollo and Shuttle era hydrogen sphere area, workers could be seen upgrading the existing tank to support liquid methane storage. Over at the main ramp, we can see that the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy Transporter Erector, or TE, is now back inside the horizontal integration facility. Here, over the next 2 days, the Falcon 9 rocket and Crew Dragon Freedom for the NASA and ESA Crew 4 mission will be put through final tests. SpaceX aims to launch the mission shortly after completing the Axiom 1 crew flight, also to the International Space Station. A different Falcon 9 rocket was also spotted rolling down to the pad. The Super Sooty booster is B1060-12 and was seen here already attached to its second stage. This rocket is slated to launch the Starlink Group 4-14 mission from Space Launch Complex 40 at the adjacent Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. And speaking of rocket movements, let's hop on over to Pad 39B, where another rocket will be on the move soon. The Space Launch System rocket, or SLS, for the first Artemis mission is still at Pad 39B, but not for much longer. NASA will roll SLS back to the vehicle assembly building after 3 attempts to complete the wet dress rehearsal milestone. But that doesn't mean things are off. The wet dress rehearsal will still happen, but only after teams fix a valve on the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, which is SLS's upper stage, and fix a liquid hydrogen leak on the mobile launcher. Air Liquide, an outside supplier of gaseous nitrogen needed for SLS in large amounts, will also upgrade their facilities during this time to better support the Mega Moon rocket's needs. SLS will head back to the assembly building around Tuesday, April 26th, for a few weeks of work before rolling back out to the pad to complete the wet dress rehearsal. Hopefully. And now, from the north side of the Space Center to the south, where Blue Origin's warehouse expansion in the south part of their campus saw more work this week. The planned area for the chemical plant remains untouched so far, but we did see more work on the future manufacturing factory's footprint just to the west of the existing large warehouse. Over at the 2CAT, we see cladding going up on the main structure as Blue Origin slowly finishes the first 2 levels of the building. Inside, the ground and various access levels are being prepared for the future second stage testing. The roof on both side structures is also installed, and we can see that the larger one has 2 floors inside of it. Next to the 2CAT, more parts are lined up for installation, including parts for the 3rd level of the building. During the flyover, the area seemed quite busy as we could see several cherry pickers and cranes at work. Over at their launch pad, LC-36, Blue Origin announced updated plans for New Glen's launch area. As Harry Stranger posted on Twitter, the launch complex will now include an updated refurbishment facility, a test area, and camera towers, among other things to help prepare the facility for launch operations. Stay tuned for future updates on that launch complex as they make these plans into a reality. At the launch and landing facility, a fair amount of progress has been made since our last update on this site. One large retention pond has been completely filled, while 2 others are making good progress. This area is the first part of a large industrial expansion of the facility by Space Florida. You can also see NASA setting up an area for the arrival of the Crew 4 astronauts, who will be launching to the ISS in the coming days on board a Crew Dragon. At Port Canaveral, a Shortfall of Gravitas lies empty. Even as the youngest drone ship in SpaceX's fleet, it still shows some significant burn marks from the landing Falcon 9 boosters. Its next mission most likely will be the Crew 4 mission to try and catch booster 1067. And that's it for this week's flyover. Be sure to check out our other videos from SpaceX Boca Chica, where you can see first steps of the new structures for Starship construction, similar to what we're seeing at Roberts Road. Also remember to check out our shop and our website, and to give this video a like and comment to support us. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.